Hey guys, last year about this time I made a recipe which was my grandma's pecan fingers. They're absolutely delicious, rolled in powdered sugar. And this year I thought I would share another one of my favorite Christmas recipes. I actually kind of make it all year round because it's just so good and I get compliments on it all the time. But today we're gonna make a ginger molasses cookies. They're like a gingerbread cookie, but honestly better because they have so much more flavor. The molasses makes them really chewy and sticky, and all the spices in it just kind of really add to the flavor. And they are also rolled in sugar. So I feel like that's kind of a trend with most of the cookies that I make. But these are just regular rolled in granulated sugar and they are delicious. So let's get cooking. First step is to gather all of our ingredients. I will put the recipe in the description down below so that you can reference it. It's pretty straightforward, but we're gonna separate them out by wet and dry ingredients. First, let's get all the dry ingredients ready. For this recipe, you will need 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. For wet ingredients, you will need 3/4 cup of butter that is like room temperature softened. You will need 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of molasses, and 1 cup of granulated sugar. I am going to make a double batch of this recipe today, but in the instructions, in the description below, I will make sure to put down just for 1 batch. And if you'd like to, you can do that. Otherwise, double batch is easy, just double everything. These are really straightforward to make. First, we're gonna mix together all the dry ingredients and set those aside, and then we'll start to process the wet ingredients, and we will use a KitchenAid mixer to do that. For the dry ingredients, you're gonna grab a medium-sized mixing bowl and you're just gonna add them all in here together. First thing is 2 cups of regular all-purpose baking flour. Since we're doubling the recipe, I'm gonna do 4 cups. Next is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're gonna do 2. Next is 1.5 teaspoons of ginger, cinnamon, 1 teaspoon, nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon, ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon. Last for the dry ingredients is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix all those dry ingredients together. Next is wet ingredients. First step with our wet ingredients is to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. Next, you're gonna add 3/4 cup of your softened butter. Now that you've got your sugar and your butter, you're gonna cream them together using your mixer or by hand until they're well blended. Once your butter and sugar is creamed together, you're gonna add the rest of your wet ingredients, which is 1 egg and 3 tablespoons of molasses. I'm gonna be using duck eggs for my recipe, which are really great for baking because they have lots of good cholesterol and they just make your baking products hold a little bit better. The egg whites are a lot more gelatinous than a chicken egg yolk, and the ducks are really productively laying right now. So we're gonna use duck eggs for our baking today. I like to scrape out to make sure that I get all of the molasses. It is very thick and sticky, so just do your best to get as close to the 3 tablespoons as you can. The other thing I really like to use molasses for is if I run out of brown sugar in the house, you can always combine regular granulated sugar with molasses to make your own. Then you're going to mix together the rest of these ingredients until they're well blended. Next, we're going to add our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients, and we'll just slowly add them until they're all well mixed together. I like to usually stop the blender, stop the mixer, and just check to make sure that everything on the sides has been mixed together well. You don't want to overmix the dough because it'll become too sticky to be able to handle. We'll do one more mix. Now that our batter is mixed together, all we have left to do is ball it up, roll it in sugar, and put it in the oven. Because this dough is a little bit stickier than a normal cookie dough due to the molasses, I like to just usually use a spoon, grab about that much, put it into my hand, roll it up into a ball, and then I set it into the sugar, and then I just kind of roll it around in the sugar until it's a nice coated ball. Set that on the pan, continue until we fill both pans, get ready to put them in the oven. I've got 2 trays lined out here to throw into the oven. I usually bake 2 trays at once just for purpose of speeding up the process. I space them out as evenly as I can. While these ones are cooking in the oven, I do like to take the rest of my dough that hasn't been used yet and store it in the fridge. That just helps keep it nice and together and not get too soft and sticky. When your oven is preheated, you can go ahead and toss these in. We're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Usually takes the first batch for me in this oven about 12 minutes. And then the second and third batch, it usually only takes 11 minutes. So we'll just check it at 10 and we might need to set it for 12. Timer just went off for 10 minutes. Let's do a quick check. These look actually really good. These ones look like they could use another minute or 2. Let's take these ones out. Set the timer for 1 more minute. I usually like to let these sit in the pan for a minute or so, and then I transfer them to some cooling racks. And then we'll just basically keep going through this process until we use up all the dough that we have in the fridge. They'll be ready to eat and enjoy. Would you like a cookie?
That's good.
I love these cookies because they've got like the chewiness on the inside from the molasses, you know? And then they've got the crunchiness of the sugar because they're rolled on the outside. And then when you put your nose to them, they just smell so spiced and holiday-ish, and delicious. And they're Nathan approved, so bonus. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will put down in the description below all the details about the recipe, how to make them, all the ingredients that you need. I will also tag in the description below a link to my grandma's pecan finger cookies that I made last year at this time. Equally as delicious, just an entirely different type of Christmas cookie. Hope you guys have a great holiday and Merry Christmas. See you soon.